time then?
You don't know what you want to be.
So, good evening everyone. Sorry to interrupt your conversations, but I thought it was time that we kick things off. So, we had a little introduction. Thank you, Chloe and Mark. I did want to start with that shout out to Dameter. It's been very interesting. We only met each other sitting next to each other at a fancy dinner, I think it's coming up to 3 months ago, but become good friends, and he introduced me to Chloe and Mark. And he had this idea that I should give a talk on drum and bass. And I thought it was a ridiculous idea, because what does it even mean to give a talk on drum and bass? But the more I thought about it, the more I thought there's a lot of interesting things to say. Wanting to get into culture and history and rhythm, technical sides. And I found that when I started writing notes about it, that there was far too much to talk about. So I've made some selections. I hope they're good ones. So I'll give credit to Dameter for the idea, and certainly my fault if it doesn't work out. So we'll give it a good go. It's a different kind of talk than I'm used to giving. I mean, in my work, I talk quite a lot for people. And I'm used to having kind of set of slides, and I'm kind of pointing to bullet points and such like. Here I decided I didn't want to do anything visual. This is all about the sounds. So I've brought a sound system along. So we're hopefully going to hear some very interesting samples. And so my supporting media is one track that I've put together. I recorded a set of samples. I think there's 14 samples in total. They're about 10 to 15 seconds each, with a gap between them. And I thought I'd finish with a track. Not necessarily going to play the whole thing, we'll see, because we'll want to ask questions and chat. But yeah, the whole thing will be setting the scene, giving you an idea of what drum and bass is, where it came from, different styles, and something about what it means to me. I do welcome any questions as I go through, so I guess it's informal, so feel free. I'm happy to repeat samples if people feel they didn't hear it. 10 to 15 seconds isn't a lot, but I didn't want to just stand here doing nothing for a long time. And I can easily go and play the whole track if we want to, if people like it. Okay, so I wanted to start the talk with a definition. What is drum and bass? I mean, it's quite popular. It's quite big now. Nothing like the subculture of the 90s. They even play it for the Goal of the Month competition on Match of the Day. It's really a very different world from where I grew up. So probably you all know what drum and bass is. Some of you might even be serious fans and know it very well. But still, it's not common to think about the technical definition, and it is something that's quite well defined. Sometimes people, when I'm DJing, I'm playing tracks, and someone will bring me, a hip hop track and say, "Oh, can you mix this with it?" And say, "Well, no." He said, "Well, you can speed it up." Yeah, if I sped it up enough, it would become drum and bass. It wouldn't be hip hop anymore. So I'm going to give you those details, kind of the technical definition, and to do that I wanted to start off with kind of a taxonomy of electronic dance music styles, and I'm defining it here in terms of rhythm, which is not the only definition. There's a lot of kind of cultural aspects, there's a lot of other aspects of the music, but rhythm is the way I think about it, and is an unambiguous definition. So I want to start off with the simplest dance music rhythm, which is just a bass drum beat, right? So in a bar of 4 beats, you'll have 4 equally accented bass drum beats. So it has a name. It's called 4 to the floor. The idea being that the drummer's using their foot on the pedal, hitting the bass drum 4 equal times, 4 times to the floor. And this is the basis for trance and techno. So I wanted to start, I'm not going to start with drum and bass, I'm going to start with a hard trance track. This is from Lab 4, Northerners. I grew up in Manchester. They used to play in Manchester quite a lot. I don't actually know where they're from originally, but they played there. Just the beginning. Okay, so I hope I judged the sounds well. So you're listening for the rhythm, just continuous, evenly spaced bass drum beats. Oh. Good start. Okay, ready? Okay, so you could hear the bass drum just going there. It's a very simple rhythm. It's very kind of primal, and it's very easy to get into, very easy to dance to. You can really get in the zone. I grew up dancing to trance and techno. It's still got a place in my heart. You can really get into this kind of meditative state, hence the name trance. So that's kind of the baseline. So now we want to change it a little bit. So next I'm going to talk about house music. So rhythmically, house music has an alternating kick clap. So alternating two different types of beats. That's a very different feel from trance and techno, but it's still structurally not very different. So I'll play an example here. Yeah, so the difference is just that you're kind of alternating between two, you know, so bass, clap. So house music is quite simple, and now we want to move on to broken beats. I don't know, have people heard the term? I don't know how widespread this is. Broken beats, break beats, two-step, syncopated beats. These are all names for kind of the same thing. These, by the way, this is not an evolutionary sequence, right? I mean, it's a taxonomy. It's not that one came from the other, but there's just increasing levels of complexity. Drummers have known about these since forever, long before anyone made electronic music. So the difference between house, where you've got your kick, clap, is that the third beat of each set of four is delayed by half a beat. So you've got kick, clap, right? That's all it is. It's going to turn out this is the basis for a lot of things. So I'm going to start off with the music, so basically the same speed as house music, and it's called breakbeats. It's not a huge global scene in the way that drum and bass is, and house is, and hip hop is. It's very much a British thing, actually, and I, as it happens, was at a day rave at Ministry of Sound for a breakbeat night on Saturday, but so it's still a big thing, but it's a much smaller scene than some of the others. So you're going to hear it's kind of superficially quite similar to the house, but then with that delayed third beat. So this is breakbeat. So do you saw how that delay? It can make quite a big difference. Someone's going to get the door. Okay, so that was at about 130 beats per minute. So now I'm going to play the same thing, but down to about, it's not the same track, but it's another track that uses the same beats down to about 90 to 100 beats per minute. So that's hip hop. So hip hop, everyone will have heard, you know, very popular. It's been around for a very long time. And so this is the super slow version. So once this finishes. It's got that swagger, right? The really slow hip hop feel. Yeah, so I'm using the SoundCloud interface for playing it, and I okay, so we're going to listen to hip hop again because it's not as easy to move between sections as I thought. Okay. So after the hip hop, which was the slow version, we're now going to play the really fast version. And this one, come on, is the daddy of them all. This is drum and bass at a frankly ridiculous 170 to 180 beats per minute, much faster than any of the others, but it's exactly the same rhythm.